Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is your brother, Sheikh Abdullah Hakim Quick. I appreciate the fact that you're watching this video. Please watch it till the end. Islam in America has a deep and long history. Muslims are recorded to have actually reached the Americas long before Columbus. They came as explorers from Al-Andalus, from West Africa. They traveled in South America, Central America, up into the United States and Canada, and they mixed with the indigenous population. But it was during the slavery period, the Atlantic slave trade, that we find millions of Muslims came into the Americas. We find, especially here in the United States, Muslims coming along the coastline, being part of the founding of America. It is on their back that this country and the countries of the Western Hemisphere were built. And what is important to remember, that the early 13 colonies were first recognized by Muslims, the Sultan of Morocco and his message to George Washington and the founders of the United States. But it was Muslims living in this part of the world as slaves and political prisoners who paid the price with their bodies and their lives. But eventually, through resistance and rebellion and abolition, not only of African people, but European people as well, slavery was abolished. But a new Jim Crow system was developed. And that is where a caste was set up, where the indigenous First Nations people, African people, Hispanics, and it goes up into Europeans, a class system was set up, and African people were put into new forms of slavery, where they were not allowed education. They were kept out of the seats of power. The males were under attack by groups like the Ku Klux Klan. And it continued on right into the 20th century. And this Jim Crow system has taken a new form in what could be called the new Jim Crow, and that is where African Americans are pushed into specific communities. There is little chance for a young African American male to go to university. As a matter of fact, there are more African Americans in jail than there is in university today. Hardly any upward mobility. This creates a permanent slave class. The rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. Muslims coming into this environment are finding that amongst the indigenous people, amongst the African communities and Hispanics as well, and some First Nations, there are Muslims. These are people who have been here for hundreds of years, who were the face of Islam right up until the 50s and 60s and even going into the 70s. But these communities are suffering under the new Jim Crow. They are suffering under a system that is holding them down and pushing them into centers of poverty like Camden, New Jersey. And so we find Muslims are getting pressure from two sides, one being African and the other under Islamophobia, being a Muslim. So it is of critical importance for the immigrant Muslims to now integrate with their brothers and sisters from the indigenous community. This is the real challenge. This is the test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is not by chance that we are here. It is not by chance that wealth has been put into the hands of many of our immigrant Muslim brothers and sisters. It is the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And zakat and sadaqah is not charity. It is the haqq. It is the right of those Muslims who are striving and who are in need. And this is not charity. This is not giving away. This is not throwing seeds to birds. This is a duty established by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself. And so I encourage my brothers and sisters, get involved in the communities. See yourself as part of the growth of Islam in this world. Shoulder to shoulder. Just as we are in prayer, let us be shoulder to shoulder in our lifestyle. This is a beautiful opportunity for us. Allah has given us wealth. There is waqaf, there is awqaf. There are trusts that we can develop. And one of the beautiful aspects of the Ottoman Empire is the Imara system. The Ottomans would come into an area, establish a masjid, and they would look at the needs of the people. So they would build a soup kitchen, they would build madrasa, medical clinic, and a bazaar, and suddenly you have an Ottoman city. Similarly, with America going down and under great pressure economically, it is a chance for Muslims to contribute not only to ourselves, but the whole society. And what is the best way to do it? Help the indigenous Muslims who are suffering and who are trying to rise in a state of Islam. I hope now that your eyes are wide open concerning the indigenous Muslim community of the Americas, and I hope that you will support this project, especially for the Muslims living in New Jersey. Find it in your heart. Come forward. I urge you not to waste any more time. Click on the link in the description of the video for more information, and please make your donations. So I leave you with this beautiful opportunity, and I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would bless you and me to be part of this upward struggle of Islam. May Allah give us the best in this life and the hereafter. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Oh